Hello, everybody. I wanted to do a video on my lunch break today because we did get our new computer yesterday, finally. Well, we got it Friday, but we didn't get to mess with it until yesterday. Airplanes. Unfortunately, it is Windows 8, and I've never used Windows 8 before, so it's taken me a long time to figure out how to set up everything and record and everything like that. We worked on it for hours and hours, and eventually just kind of gave up for the day because it was exhausting. But I just wanted to let you know that the computer is finally here, so hopefully I can start. Can you please shut up? Please, cat. Please be. This is my life. This is trying to fit videos in between work and cats and everything else. Anyway, but I also wanted to let you know that I finally got my fiance to let me open the PS4. Long story, he was like, you have to wait until we're officially engaged, May 5th, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, why would you buy a PS4 and not let me open it, blah, blah, blah. And I've been streaming Bloodborne off and on, and some other games, but mostly Bloodborne. Nothing regular yet, because a lot of stuff's still going on. I'm painting a mural for work downtown on all my off days, and also the Ren Fair's coming up, and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, sorry, this video is crap. No one's gonna watch this, whatever. But the reason I really want to start filming is that I just spent the last 2 hours watching a collection of all these videos by InternetAristocrat on Gamergate. And I've watched a lot of Internet Aristocrats videos before, and, you know, some of his points I really agree with, some of them I think are bullshit, but I try to watch the whole video and, you know, weigh all the different parts, instead of just being like, he said one thing I don't like, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I realized that I never actually did a video about Gamergate, and of course there's multiple reasons for this. One is just that it is, or it was, I don't know if it still is, a huge shitstorm full of, you know, knee-jerk reactions, and there's no room for gray, you know, opinions. You either are for or against it, blah, blah, blah. And I just really didn't want to invite that much internet hate. You know, my position in this is that I do play and review games. I don't get paid for it, except for very, very few exceptions where various small companies were like, oh, we'll give you $50 if you talk about this game. And, you know, as far as my relation to Gamergate goes, I always say in that video, you know, this was paid for by blah, blah, blah. And, you know, my inclination anyway with reviews is, even if my inclination is that I try not to completely dump on games. Even if I didn't really enjoy them, I try to explain the parts that I did enjoy and the parts why I didn't enjoy what I didn't enjoy. Because the thing that I always try to keep in mind is that, you know, the world is not tailored for my likes and dislikes, and just because I don't like something doesn't mean that it's a bad game. You know, like, there's plenty of movies and books and stuff out there that are incredibly popular, and I watch them or play them or read them, and I'm just like, this doesn't do it for me. But then there'll be other stuff that some people play and just meh, and I get obsessed with them. Like, you know, game-wise, I am a sucker for any kind of crafting thing. Like, they just did a big release, a new alpha update for 7 Days to Die, which I have been exploring just a little bit, and I'm excited for. But yeah, so that's my stance on that. As far as Gamergate goes, it's really huge. Apparently it's been going on for 7 months now, and there's no freaking way I can, like, even catch up with everything that's going on with it. But anyway, in regards to this Internet Aristocrats series, a lot of what he says is pretty hateful, but he also makes some very, very interesting, good points. My thing about Gamergate is that I guess my focus, and keep in mind this is like I'm super behind, and there's a lot of information out there I haven't read or watched yet, so, you know, it could be about something completely different. Although that is one of the problems with Gamergate, is that there's so many different people saying, no, this is what Gamergate is about, no, that guy's lying, oh, that guy's trying to derail you, you know, agendas and narratives and blah, 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 and I'm just like, oh, what? How is a normal person supposed to follow what the heck is going on? It's like freaking, you know, butterfly effect or something like that, where there's just like 12 billion versions of the same thing, and you're just like, ugh. But here are the concerns I have with what I've seen and read so far of Gamergate. First of all, obviously, I am all for, you know, cutting down on corruption, and if something is bought and paid for, either through sex or, you know, favors, like, if you give me a good game review, I'll give you, you know, a share of the profits. Or, you know, if you, you know, just, you know what I mean. You know what corruption is. Obviously, I'm all for cutting that down. What I don't really understand is why some forms of corruption are getting so much more hatred than others, especially, and this, I guess, supposedly the argument has changed, but at least when I was researching Gamergate when it first started happening, the undertone of misogyny, because there was so much focus on females sleeping with males, you know, Zoe Quinn and all this other shit, and Anita Sarkeesian, and just, like, it was all like, oh, if this guy supports this girl, obviously she slept with him. And regardless of whether that's true or not, I don't understand, and it's just me, normal person, just shoot my mouth, so please don't, like, be like, oh my god, you're wrong, like, okay, I'm wrong, whatever. Why is someone sleeping with someone worse than someone paying someone in money or in, you know, clout, like, oh, if you review my game, I'll tweet it out to my followers or something like that, I don't know. Like, who decides that this is worse than this? You know, it's kind of tangential, but it a little bit reminds me of various religious arguments where, you know, like, a lot of people are like, oh my god, homosexuality is so wrong, but they're okay with divorce, and it's like, actually, there's posts about it, there's way more comments, supposedly, in the Bible, I'm not religious, but supposedly there's way more comments in the Bible about how wrong divorce is, and only like 1 or 2 about homosexuality, and yet you look at the legislation, and there's so much religious anti-homosexuality stuff going on, but really, only the furthest out there kind of groups, it seems like, will say that divorce is wrong too. So it's like, same thing is going where I see, like, people are, you know, there's all these comments on forum posts and everything like that about Gamergate where they're like, blah, 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 slut, whore, blah, and it's like, okay, you're like attacking these people for sleeping with someone. Why aren't you attacking the people that are doing all these other forms of crime? That is a big point. That is a big hanging point, whatever you want to call it. My screensaver just turned on. For me, in regards to this, is I don't understand that discrepancy, and my ignorant freaking, I'm a female, so obviously this is my perspective, so much, like, over explanation going on in this video. My inclination in this is that maybe it has to do with the fact that, how do I explain this? Well, so I had a sort of a miniature conversation in Twitter about this, actually, with some strangers that I'm now following because they seem cool, and, you know, we were able to have a discussion about Gamergate without, like, threatening and insulting each other, believe it or not. Maybe it's that monetary, you know, monetary incentives and stuff like that has been around for so long that it's just sort of, it's frowned upon, but it's kind of understood to be a part of corruption in journalism. But especially with gaming journalism, females have not been a recognized presence until very recently. You know, there's been a lack of coverage of females. There's been a lack of inclusion, and part of Gamergate is saying that there actually isn't that much inclusion, and that's just what the gaming industry is saying, and blah blah blah. But I've been gaming my entire fucking life, and until very, very recently, I did get people that were like, oh my god, you're a girl, you play games, obviously you're fake, you know, like the whole stupid fake girl gamer thing like that. Like, you can say that journalism isn't anti-female, and that's fine, but the culture, and I mean, yeah, you know, the loudest is not necessarily the majority, but my entire life, I have had to deal with so many people saying, you know, I was faking it for attention, or, you know, like on Xbox Live, they'd hear my voice and be like, oh, you must be a fat lesbian, and it's just like, there are a lot of misogynistic gamers out there. There's a lot of male misogynistic gamers out there. There's also, you know, freaking crazy radical feminists that, like, hate all men. And yeah, I definitely agree that we shouldn't generalize and say that all gamers are misogynistic male. I guess the thing about Gamergate that just really fascinates and alarms me is that it is very, very, very extremist. I mean, like most, you know, internet subjects are. It's very, like, if you are anti... Well, it's like saying, like, you say, you know, I'm not really a fan of all this, like, slut-shaming and you know, focusing on females sleeping with males for favors, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, you're anti-Gamergate. Well, you're denying that, you know, blah, blah, you're derailing the focus and blah, blah. Like, no, this is just my experiences are that there are a lot of misogynistic, you know, assholes out there. And... I lost my point. See, I should, like, actually make a proper video about this, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared to put that much work into a video that's probably just gonna get either completely ignored, or all I'm gonna get is people telling me, like, oh, you're a stupid slut, fucking shut up. And it's like, oh, okay. So much for giving my view. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna summarize. My concern with Gamergate is that people are using it, not everybody, but certain people are using it as a platform to, well, to use some of the same lingo that InternetAristocrat was using, furthering their own agendas. So, and this is just something people do a lot, again, to touch back on the divorce and homosexuality. It's people that are already against homosexuality are using religious text as a supposed, you know, I'm right because the Bible says so, when it's actually just, they just feel that way anyway. And I feel like I'm seeing the same thing happen in Gamergate. I'm seeing people that are, you know, the stereotypical, like, oh, all women are bitches and only date asshole guys, the nice guys never get girlfriends unless they're rich or super handsome, blah, blah, blah. I see that subset of people, and yes, I have had to deal with a lot of that myself, both in person and online. They're using Gamergate, or the subject of Gamergate, as a platform to say, see, I was right all along. Women are sluts. Women are bitches. Women are manipulative. And it's bad because you're doing exactly what you were already doing before, which is ignoring any information that disagrees with what you already believe. And again, this is just human psychology. You're ignoring dissenting information and cherry-picking information that already supports, you know, that supports what you were already saying. And I don't really understand how that's helpful. You know, people are saying, like, oh, Gamergate is about establishing integrity and journalism and blah, blah, blah. And I am all for that. I am all for making developers, you know, or making reviewers or whatever say, like, I have this relationship with this person. And I really think it could be as easy as that. You know, if you are friends with someone, if you've had dinner with them, if you slept with them, if you have had any interaction with them at all so far, or before, you know, either recuse yourself and have somebody else do the article, or, you know, like if you're a gaming channel like Total Biscuit, Total Halibut, whatever, or something like that, you know, just explain at the forefront, they gave me this game, or, you know, I have had dinner with this developer. Just put it out there. Just put it out there so people can take that into effect. I think you can have a valid opinion about something even if you do have a prior relationship with something to do with that. You know, case in point, Starbound. I actually used to be friends with Tyrie? I don't even know how you say it. Finn. I originally had contacted him years ago when I first started this channel, back when it was still Games Are for Fight, when he was the artist of Terraria, brain fart. I emailed them and I was like, hey, I would love to get an interview with one of you guys for my channel. I'm just starting out, blah, blah, blah. And this was before Terraria quite as popular as it is. And to my surprise, he wrote me back. We started talking on Steam. We ended up having a lot in common. And we just became friends, like only online, you know. But we used to talk like all the time, have conversations about random stuff. But then, like a couple years ago, I'm not really sure what happened. I think it's a combination of he got really busy with Starbound, and also I can be a pretty blunt person, pretty difficult to deal with, and I think, you know, he was already stressed out dealing with haters and stuff like that, and I think I just said something that was harsher than I meant it to, or whatever, and so he, I don't know, he just kind of stopped responding to me, and I'm really sad about it, and I've tried to apologize, but I don't know, I guess I fucked up, and somehow pissed him off, and I'm really sad about it. But anyway, my point in telling you this is that, I have played a lot of Starbound. I played it with my boyfriend, I played a little bit online, but not a super big amount. And the truth is, I really enjoy Starbound. It does have some areas, you know, and it's still in beta, and they're still making advancements to it, and I'm not even going to get into all that, but I honestly think it's a very fun game, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I used to be friends with the guy who started the company that made it. If I did... Okay. Different scenario. Let's pretend that I hated Starbound and that I thought it was the worst game ever, and, you know, I wanted to say that I hated everything like that. If people asked me to do a review, I would probably say, no, I can't, because, you know, well, I wouldn't necessarily tell them this part, and this is not true, this is a hypothetical. If I did hate Starbound, I wouldn't want to do it because I wouldn't want to hurt the business prospects of my friend. And also, I'm not really a fan of dumping on something, on hating on something just to hate on it. You know, the world is full of enough negativity. There's enough reviewers out there who think everything is shit. Like the old show, The Critic, you know, his tagline was, "It's shit," because basically he thought all movies are shit. So I feel like it's not really adding anything for me to look for things to dislike about a game, regardless of whether I know anyone involved or not. So, yeah. Basically, just my point is that I try to be nice about games if I can. Even if it's a big AAA game and I know that, like, my opinion would never affect anyone, if there is something I really dislike, I try to give reasons why I dislike it instead of just making it a personal opinion. Like, you know, it sucks. The end. Also, I think that people can be honest about journalism, just be upfront about it, just say, you know, I have this relationship with this person involved with this thing. And then, you know, let people tell for themselves if that's going to be too criminalizing. Because, you know, some people are going to be like, oh, you're friends with so-and-so, therefore you can't possibly actually say if it's a good game or not. But then other people will be like, okay, I understand that you're friends with them, so you're going to be disinclined to say that you dislike this game. But at the same time, you have a reputation for being honest, even when you do know people involved in the game. And, you know, they can still take it into consideration. One of the things I said on Twitter when I was having a conversation is that I personally don't really put much stock into reviews in the first place. For multiple reasons. One is that I guess my tastes are just different than a lot of people's, because a lot of the stuff that's popular out there I have no interest in. And the other is that corruption is everywhere, and a lot of it is even accidental. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of reviews out there where, you know, their preconceived notions of something to do with that subject is why they like it, rather than the actual thing. Like, you know, there's few enough games out there with a female protagonist that isn't, like, you know, using her sexuality as, like, part of her assets, just like, you know, like Bayonetta or whatever. Like, there's few enough. For instance, Alex from Half-Life 2. She's a really cool character. She's female, she's tough, she doesn't, like, You're like, ugh. And I'm not saying that that kind of character is bad either. I'm just saying that there's few games with female protagonists like that in them. And the fact that there's so few, for me personally, I might give a game more... I might be more inclined to play a game or to try a game because it does have a female protagonist that reminds me of Alex, and I want to see if it's a good game. But for me personally, if the game sucks, regardless of whether the protagonist is female or not, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, it's such a great game because there's a female. But other people maybe not. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully this doesn't open like a shitstorm. This is really not, you know, researched or whatever. I just wanted to shoot a video off really quick on my lunch break because these thoughts are rambling around in my head, and I just wanted to put them out there. And in the small chance that Finn ever does see this video, or someone like takes a clip from it and plays it to him or something like that, I still miss you. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you aren't letting the haters get you down too much. And, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. If anyone does watch this, I don't know. I'm gonna go back to work now. Bye!